And if I can solve it because of a certain ability, that would be great. And if it doesn't happen, I will say that I think Russia is ready. And a lot of people said Russia wanted to go for the whole thing. And I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far it's been harder, but that's okay. It's all right. But I think we have a deal with both. I hope they do it because I'm looking to save, and we spend a lot of money, but this is about a lot of humanity. This is the worst. I get the pictures, the satellite pictures. I've never seen anything like it of the fields after some of these battles. It's horrible that it's going for nothing. We would have never had this problem. You would have never had that war if I were president. I guarantee you that. And for 4 years, you didn't have it.
I thought about whether I should cover this or not, but I decided I wanted to. As you saw from the intro, Trump has been trying to be the peacemaker here, right? He did the Abraham Accords, which is something he's trying to follow up in 2025 with what's going on in the Gaza, Israel. Not going into that. I just think he should play the same role he's playing here. Hey, let's find a way to end this war. And you see many people on the same side, conservatives, and try to apply some pressure on Trump to somehow perceive Iran as a threat, and that if he doesn't act now and eliminate them, essentially Iraq 2.0. And a part of me is just like, no, just let's focus on our own thing, bro. Let people essentially suffer if they have I'm sorry. I'm at the point of the airplane scenario, dog. We have a lot of problems going on here. And these people who want us to be, very involved in other people's governance, overthrow regimes and then put a new person up there. And then we get a Assad situation where you get someone even worse. The regime change stuff has not been a good track record for the United States of America. Maybe it worked for other people, but for the United States of America, it seemed like every time we do a regime change or we try to get involved in someone else's politics, we end up electing a person that has no ties to the people, end up being worse than the person that we replaced them with. I just think from a practicality standpoint, we need to stop trying to do this regime change stuff. And peace talks has been kind of not falling apart, but it's been a struggle session because, Zelensky's out here making comments that is not really helpful for peace, right? The Crimea stuff. Ukraine has lost Crimea for over 11 years ago, and they still don't want to recognize it as part of Russia. You lost it, bro. And the funny part is, when Russia took over Crimea, there wasn't as much of a fight compared to what's going on now. Why didn't start a war when they took over Crimea, Ukraine? But all of a sudden, in this peace talk, you want to bring up Crimea. And Putin seeing this, he does an airstrike on Kiev. These people don't want war, bro. I feel like a part of me is like, you guys are wasting America's time here. And I think you get some of that sentiment. You see Trump's administrators are canceling meetings. They're just hey, okay, y'all want to fight? Keep fighting. Senseless war. But before I continue with this a video I want to show, I want you guys to see this clip to get a more understanding of where Trump and Marco Rubio is at.
There are today people that were alive yesterday that are not alive today because this war continues, and the president wants to stop it. And everyone should be thanking the president for being a peacemaker and trying to save lives. That's what we're trying to do here. It's not our war. We didn't start it, as you know. But we're trying to end the dying. We're trying to end the destruction. And we've shown the path forward. We can see the finish line, but both of them have to get there. We're going to do everything we can to help them get there, but they have to ultimately say yes.
And we are using a lot of pressure on both. If you think we're just in there because we're nice people, and we are nice people, but we're using a lot of pressure on both.
Of all the leaders in the world today, no leader is working harder to prevent wars or end them than President Trump is right now. That's why we're talking to Iran. That's why we're engaged with Ukraine and Russia. It's the desire to prevent these wars from breaking out and to end the ones that exist already. And again, I just think it's tremendous for our country to be led by a president who desires to bring peace and establish peace and protect peace. So it's hard work.
Now, one thing I hate sometimes with the media is that they try to cast this narrative Donald Trump is giving Putin everything he wants, right? And I'm like, okay, Crimea, Putin has been Russia's been controlling Crimea since, I don't forget when, 2008, when Obama lost it, right? You get the whole history lesson. Obama lost territory, Bush lost territory. He didn't try that with Trump, right? And the Ukrainians didn't put up a fight when those two Democratic presidents got in the land taken when Putin took over those lands during their administration and George Bush administration. But all of a sudden, they want Donald Trump to go supply more missiles to Ukraine, giving more tax money to them, lowering our weapon stockpile to give to them, just to prolong their inevitable end. Like, practically speaking, it seems like Ukraine can't outlast Russia. And with this latest attack, it's obviously so. Like, Ukraine has nothing. Ukraine don't have the cards, as Trump famously said during their tense public dispute in the eyes of the media. You don't have the cards, and Russia has the stronger leverage. They can. My point is, who has the strongest leverage is the person that, if the United States were to completely remove themselves from the situation, how would it go? Russia has the advantage. Russia can keep going to this war. Russia been sanctioned. Y'all did all this work, and they're still able to fight the war. Ukraine, with all this help, is barely resisting Russia. So now I want to talk about this segment on this combative interview with, I think, Rubio's spokesperson. I'm not sure, but you're gonna see throughout the whole conversation that the media is trying to project this idea that there's another path. But I have not heard any. What's the alternative? That's my thing. It's so easy to criticize approaches. It's so easy to criticize what Trump's administration is currently doing. But I always ask myself, what is the alternative? What is a better way of doing this? And it seems like the media don't have an answer, but they feel so strongly that one exists. But I digress. Let's get into the video.
By making Russian control part of the peace deal proposal, is the U.S. letting Russia get away with it?
Let's make something quite clear here. This is not going to be discussed on TV, not between you or me. It's not going to be a discussion over TV or television or dinner or anywhere else. That these are, President Zelensky, I respect a great deal, and he's going to say what he needs to say. But there's a reason why you do want to be able to sit down and talk, and it's why the secretary has been committed to that constantly for the last 100 days. It has been a hallmark of his secretariat up to this point. Getting to peace and ceasefires is a hallmark and a North Star of President Trump's administration, and it's working because it's not a debate on television. It's a discussion between the men and women who have an impact on this and can make decisions. And again, you'll hear these leaders say things independently in op-eds or to television anchors. But what matters is when they sit down. And this has been happening, and it's going to.
Exactly. It's a show. Right? Where Zelensky's coming out here, saying that he didn't get much support from the U.S. And then Trump had to come back and be like, yo, you disrespected us. You see how much money we sent over there to that country? You see how much weapons we sent over in that country? And you're saying we're not doing enough? Go ask your European friends. And then they made this whole show. Oh, look, the U.S. has been ostracized by the world leaders. They're all galvanizing around, what's his name? Ukraine, Zelensky. All for show. Nothing productive really came out of it. The Europeans boasting their chest. We'll learn how to defend ourselves. Let's prove America wrong. Nothing came out of that. When you do polling on European citizens, hey, would you want your people fighting in support of Ukraine? No. Majority of them said no. The same answer that Americans are saying. But all of a sudden, Europeans, when you ask the question, should America help more? Majority of them say yes. So you want America to do something that your own citizens wouldn't want to do. Send soldiers, boots on the ground, or further support Ukraine. You don't want European citizens don't want their European leaders to send more support to Ukraine, but they want America to do it. Isn't that nice? So you can demand of other people what you yourself is not willing to do. And this is the problem that Americans have with a lot of these people around the world. Then you make arrogant statements, Europeans, on Twitter saying, this is why Americans are despised around the world, but you're so reliant on us. Make it make sense. How can you despise somebody that's willing to do something that you don't even want your own country to do? And this is why I said we need to stop being the world's police. This is why we need to stop being involved in all these people's problems. And I think a lot of Americans are not in the appetite for war. And I think Trump's playing this cautiously with Iran, because I think if Trump allows these people to pressure him to go to Iran, I think he's going to legitimately lose support. That's my thoughts. Maybe someone different from me in the comment section, but I honestly believe that we need to focus on our own problems, and anything else will be a distraction. Going to war with Iran, like, okay, let's peace negotiate with them and say, hey, look, don't try anything, bro. Let's do an Abraham Accords 2.0 over there. I'd rather that happen, because we need to focus on at home what's going on right here. Because a lot of times these wars are used as distractions away from domestic problems that needs to be solved. But I digress. Let's continue with this combative interview.
To continue to happen. And
How
of
long
course,
will it
we will see,
continue,
as the
though?
Secretary has said, well, that is what Secretary Rubio has already pointed to, and that it will not go on forever. It will not go on for months, but it's a matter of what these individuals, just a minute, these individuals, what they know in their private conversations through diplomatic negotiations and conversations and meetings is not something that is fair to discuss on television, speculate about, or muse about. Their success is based on their actions, and it does not come from a conversation like this on television.
Secretary Rubio
I
made the
think I've
comments
answered that.
himself and
I've
J.D. Vance that they're
answered
willing to
this.
walk away, and you
I've
have
said,
Ukraine saying
look,
that it would not agree
yes,
to a
of
key
course.
part of the U.S. proposal. So
I
it is
know
very fair
you
to ask
really,
about that and to press
let
about
me
that.
Just,
so
let me just say, and I've answered you multiple times about the difference between genuine negotiations, which the president has, of course, encouraged, and
It's easy to talk junk than to actually execute. It's easy to say. It's like, this reminds me of, growing up when you used to play basketball in the hood. There's this guy that always talk ish on the court. He always talking, like, he's on the sidelines. He's not participating in the game. He talking junk. Then when that's that person's turn to be on the court, his play don't back up his talk on the sidelines. It's the exact same scenario that's going on with these peace negotiations. Both of them are posturing, especially Zelensky. Everyone knows Zelensky can't ball, but he pretends he can because someone fluffed him up. It's the same scenario that's going on right here. Oh, I will not agree to that. He's trying to show strength. Okay. I don't think it's practical, though. But the media, they're using this as a fodder to launch attacks at Trump. Launch attacks at Rubio. Oh, you guys are not doing enough. Oh, you're giving in to Putin. Want to use it to spread more narratives. This is the kind of news people don't like. This is why the reason why the media is rooting so hard for this stuff to fail is because if this fails, it gives Democrats an opportunity to try to win back power. And I already told you, journalism, a lot of these people who work in the news outlet media space, they're liberal. They're Democrats. They want to report on negative outcomes for Donald Trump.
And his vision involves that. Secretary Rubio has, of course, engaged in that, as has the president with Putin of Russia. But for you, I know you want to have a sense of what ratings might be or pulling people in.
No, it's not
but
that.
It is,
We're just trying to get answers for our viewers. It's not any of that.
They
Okay,
have
I want to
answers
ask
from
you
the
about something
actions
else,
of the
and that
State
is what's going
Department
on at the
and
State
the White
Department.
House. And we will not have this debate. Certainly, it's not going to be a negotiation between you and me, and you know that. I know that, and the audience should know that this is a dynamic that is very different than this kind of an exchange, which is unfortunate.
Okay. You are the State Department spokesperson. It is very fair for me to ask you basic questions about what has been said publicly. So I also want to go up to what's going on at the State Department.
And for you to accept my
you didn't
answers.
answer some of my questions, which is why I followed up, which is my job.
Of course I did.
I want to ask you about the shakeup at the State Department.
It's a waste of time because the lady just said, hey, look, I can't go into specifics. You're going to compromise our hand. We can't have this out in public. I can tell you what I can, and you have to accept that as the answer. Yeah, you can do some digging. Yeah, you can flush them up. But my thing is, why you didn't do stuff like this when it came to Joe Biden? And this is the problem people have, the inconsistencies. When it's something that can benefit the Democrats and their ilk, the media goes very passionate. We're gonna keep asking questions even though you gave us an answer and we don't think the answer is substantive enough. But if a Democrat was in this position, if it was a Democrat administration telling you about peace talks, she would have dropped it, she would have let it go. this inconsistency, it needs to stop. Either you're very either you portray a very hard interview all the time, or you give softball interviews all the time. You can't pick and choose the approach because this leads to bias. The dire situation of Ukraine is dire. He can have peace or he can fight for another 3 years before losing the whole country. This is Donald Trump on Truth Social. Vladimir Zelensky is boasting on the front page of Wall Street Journal that Ukraine will not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea after you lost it 11 years ago. Make that make sense. There's nothing to talk about here. This statement is very harmful to the peace negotiation with Russia. Then as you saw from this video, Russia launched an attack on Kiev. These people, if y'all want to keep fighting, hey, leave us out of it. Don't waste our time. Yeah, Crimea, Russia in that Crimea was lost years ago under the auspices of President Barack Hussein Obama, and not even a point of discussion. Is not even a point of discussion. Nobody's asking Zelensky to recognize Crimea as Russian territory. But if he wants Crimea, why didn't they fight for it 11 years ago when it was handed over to Russia without a shot being fired? Wondering minds want to know. The area also houses, for many years before the Obama handover, major Russian submarine bases. It's inflammatory statements like Zelensky's that make it so difficult to settle this war. He has nothing to boast about. The situation for Ukraine is dire. He can have peace or he can fight for another 3 years before losing the whole country. I have nothing to do with Russia, but I have much to do with wanting to save an average 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers a week who are dying for no reason whatsoever. The statement made by Zelensky today will do nothing but prolong the killing field, and nobody wants that. We're very close to the deal, but the man with no cards to play should now finally get it done. I look forward to being able to help Ukraine and Russia get out of the complete and total mess that would have never started if I was president. Right? And now you have what's the name? Vladimir Putin launching attacks at Kiev, right? And I honestly do think it's because of the fact that Zelensky isn't willing to play ball and allow Trump and them to have a united front against Russia is what's allowing Russia to be like, okay, I'm gonna take pot shots until they figure it out their mess here. Honestly, look, man, I've been said that Zelensky should have resigned after that whole debacle with Donald Trump in the White House, where he got kicked out and they made a whole show out of it. But hey, you know, that's just how it is. This is reality, right? So let me know your thoughts, perspectives. I would like to hear your thoughts and perspectives on this matter. Like Ukraine, do they have a shot at peace? Can peace even be done? Would it be 2026 and we're still dealing with this? I would like to hear your thoughts about how your optimism or pessimism about this Ukraine peace deal and the Ukraine, not the Ukraine, the Iran thing as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.